In a world where space and time are intertwined, one man dared to challenge the status quo. His name? Dayton Miller. His weapon of choice? A flute. But not just any flute. This instrument held the power to unleash the ether, a pervasive medium once thought to fill the universe. Miller, a physicist by trade, a musician at heart, discovered a harmonic resonance within the ether. He found that his flute, when played with precision, could manipulate this elusive medium. His melodies, a symphony of science, had the potential to shift the very fabric of reality. However, a sinister force lurked in the shadows. The Einsteinian demons. These creatures thrived in the distortion of space-time, causing chaos and disruption. The world needed a hero, and Miller was ready to answer the call. With his flute in hand, Miller played a tune that echoed through the cosmos. Each note, a shot of pure ether, struck the Einsteinian demons, dispelling them back into the void.
All right, hello and welcome everyone. Tonight we're going to be joining the clubhouse lads and ladettes and seeing what's going on over there with the gang.
There we go. Hey, Alan, we finna go to the Liz just opened up another room. We finna go to that one.
What's up, Alan? I don't really have a voice, but thank you for coming over.
Hola, ¿cómo está? I've been practicing Spanish.
Oh, I like it. Alrighty. Duolingo?
What up, Alan? What's good?
What up, gentlemen? What's going on, Alan? Kat, I see you.
Oh, Miss
Oh.
Cat, yes.
Hola, hola. What do you find gentlemen up to this evening?
Flat Earth Gang family.
Just resting after work, getting ready to work later on.
Hey, yo, that's funny. What's going on, Alan? How you feel, bro?
Fantastic. Having the time of my life.
Yeah, just make sure, you pay your untraceable bills. Alright. Yeah, you don't need that coming back, and make sure she's not recording, alright? Outside of that, man, it's all good, bro. Outside of that is all good. And have a good time now, because I heard they just made it harder to get to the DR.
Oh, who's that? Who's the DR?
Oh no, it's no, Rio. I think Brazil. They just made it harder just to get to Rio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got to have a visa, and you got to show that you got a certain amount of money in the bank.
Oh, you got to put up that cheddar
To visit?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What's up, Shane?
Yeah, they're making it harder.
What's up, guys?
That's wild. What's going on, Shane?
I know. So Shane, you better get down there while you can, man. For the, well, Alan said he having a good time. Head on down. The hell, bro. All right, guys. I need a my hard drive is full as fuck.
Yeah, you just gotta buy a couple externals, a couple SSDs on the download, get a couple extensions, you'll be fine.
Yeah. So I got one. I need a couple. I need, like you said, a couple of more. This motherfucker's full as fuck.
Yo, look at Corey with his awesome logo. How do I steal that? I want to use that in thumbnails. Ether, Cosmology, Flat Earth Gang. I was looking for something like that. Except,
Yeah, I can give it to you right now. Hold on.
why is there a globe in it?
Dude.
Because AI hates flat Earth. That's why.
and send me one as well. So
Yeah.
you should see what my compilation of Ether Cause Flat Earth Gang looks like, or what like my age generation turned out to be.
Oh, is it bad?
I mean, I like it, but it's different.
Would you use ChatGPT or DeepSeek?
ChatGPT Pro, and then it uses some module called Sora. So like whatever that means, ChatGPT Sora.
Okay.
Not to be confused with ChatGPT George Soros.
How can you not confuse the two? It's the same thing, man.
Oh yeah, I forgot they are all inseparable and funded by the same people. Dang it, Linnell, why'd you remind me of reality? For a second, I thought I could choose between Coke and Pepsi.
No. We here now. It's all the same thing, my bro. Sorry. Hey, did Jaren ever respond to y'all about the celestial theodolite or no?
Negative, Ghost Rider. He said he would think about it, and I messaged him because I did make a mistake about the tangent in there, and I messaged him the correction on that, and he was like, okay, I'll look into it, and never got back to me. But he's probably busy, you know? He's got a lot of stuff going on, I imagine.
Well, we addressed him on Glow Busters too, and he didn't respond to any of that. I think he's done responding. He did his thing, and dude, his whole stance is just continuously fallacious, so it can't be helped.
Hey man, you know what? I think about if I had to continuously take a stance that I just knew was false, like, I probably wouldn't engage too much. I would just.
Or would you cop out with the easiest, quickest, fallacious, quickies that you can get away with, right? Which is exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, just say it and keep on pushing, man. It's the globe position.
No one can ever explain the southern rotation. No flat earther has ever provided any explanation, like statements like that. You're like, what?
Yeah. Hey man, he's reading the script. Yeah. Right? He's reading the script that was handed to him. It'd be like that. Oh, Chris, you decided to come up, bro?
I guess I got moved down, man. I'm not sure what happened.
No, it's a new room.
Say again?
It's a new room. We had to make a new room.
Oh, okay. That's what's up. Yeah, I had to hit that call, but yeah, real quickly, I'm listening to you guys talking. All I hear is that sky observations don't affect what the ground does. I mean, I've heard that enough to know what the response is. Right?
Hey guys, this is one of our resident Globers. This is my man Chris. Oddly enough, he's an engineer as well. So he lurked in the goo for a couple of years before he decided to come up. I don't know if y'all can have any better results than what we've had, but we've taken them as far as we can take them. So
yeah, I mean the null hypothesis, position is pretty solid, right? So if we assume that the Earth is a globe, and then we assume that the Earth is flat as our null hypothesis, and we try to falsify that, if we fail to falsify it, then why would we assume that our hypothesis is true? That's crazy. So like we have a preponderance of evidence that we can go through using the null hypothesis method. We could analyze things like Battle of the Beams, Celestial Theodolite primarily. That's like my new favorite one, the Celestial Theody, because it's pretty easy to understand.
Yeah, and repeated with lots of data and measurements that comport only and specifically to planar trig with multiple predictions and multiple observations. That's why it's a good one. But the null hypothesis is the perfect framework when you're trying to argue these positions, right? Before, flat Earth used to just try and falsify the globe model and not offer, quote, flat Earth evidence, right? But the way that you scientifically frame that is through the null hypothesis. You try to falsify the opponent's position, right? And then if you're successful or whatever, then you get to default to your position, or however you want to set it up. But the point is, we get to falsify the globe all day long, and then that means that the other model is true by default. That's how null hypothesis works.
Very reminiscent to the court system. You guys know how we're like supposed to be assumed to be innocent until proven guilty, right? So our null hypothesis is that we're not guilty and then people would have to try and prove that we're guilty. Right. So like you
assume that you look guilty all the time. So
you can apply the same logic, and the scientific method to the null hypothesis and analyze globular and flat Earth evidence that way. It's like, just keep it real simple. Is the Earth flat or is it a globe? Well, if you assume one to be the true one, you go out and you try to falsify that one. And if you falsify it, then the other one is likely to be true. That's the way I look at it now. Oh,
with respect to what, though?
He said the replays are on. Later. Look forward to speaking with you when you come back, sir. But anyway, it's a pretty solid framework.
Curve with respect to what? To the stars, right? That's why specifically when we outline it, the evidence that you can put forth for curvature must be absent of direct or indirect correlation to stars, like corrections, astro tables, pretty much rules out geodetic surveying. All of the so-called proofs of curvature would be ruled out with the supposition that actually it can't relate or be directly related to the stars. That's why we like to set it up that way. That removes and negates all of their so-called evidence right away.
Yeah, my man Chris doesn't like to talk too much on recorded rooms. I was surprised when he came up. I'm like, oh shit, he feeling he got his big boy pants on today. So
came to play.
A cop out.
Yeah. Anytime he says something, he definitely doesn't want that shit to be thrown used against him in the court of law.
Welcome to the internet, homie.
Yeah, the internet will get you. It'll get you, Chris.
Facts. That's facts. It's all right though, Chris. You can type in the chat, bro. You can type in the chat. All right. In all fairness, you're just as illogical in the chat as you are on stage, bro. So it's okay.
Well, it seems like you came up here to say the one thing that all the Globers have been saying, ad nauseum, right? I thought the shape of the Earth can't be determined by looking at the sky. Isn't that what you guys always say?
Yeah.
And then he was done. It was like a one-shot thing or whatever. That's kind of weird, man.
Yeah,
well, dude, he threw his hoop shot out or whatever from the shooting line.
Took a step back. There he is.
Yeah, I stepped out for a minute. I heard y'all talking shit. I left the room because I don't talk in rooms of replays, not because I'm scared of what smoke y'all got to bring. And I said what I said because it's a carry-on of a previous conversation we're having, but the replays are off. So just don't get too. We could debate when replays are off. We could talk later.
Oh, I thought you meant something else by replay. By the way, that's why I started laughing. I was on an entirely different replay. I was on an entirely different replay. Anyway, what did he say though? So his overall argument though was he doesn't talk when it's recorded though.
And then he wasn't scared. Nana, I think is what he said.
Dude, so wait, what?
He came up to tell you that he wasn't scared of you.
And then dipped?
And then he dipped again.
That's tight.
Yeah, he right there. Hey.
He might have lagged out.
We got another one just came in the room.
Nice.
All right. Hold on. We're going to see how he acting. All right. Let's see. So.
Do you only have the same list of 12 Globers that you deal with all the time that we have?
Yeah.
Is there a Glover short list or something? And they get a little notification.
Sheet. He's like, I know this guy's stamina. He's not going to last too long or whatever.
Yeah,
he's got 3 defense.
Hey, Teddy, come on up. You be complaining that we don't bring you up. Come on. Let's see what you're going to say. If I had to take a guess, I would say he's not coming up, though. What are you going to do, Teddy? No? You good? Oh, okay, he's just listening. Got you. All right.
Nice. Just chilling. That's what's up.
All right. So when you got an opportunity to come, for game time, you're like, no. You talk all that trash, and nah. Okay. All right, I got you. So we'll make some space as they pop in.
Where's Lisbeth?
She. There she goes right there.
I'm right. I'm
HR
right here. I
HR
just
Rising is her horizon.
What? You gonna get a new profile? I thought that was you. I thought it was someone impersonating you. That's why I wanted to call you out and see if you'd answer. It is you. Wow.
it's the AI version. Yeah, sorry guys. My voice sounds
Okay.
horrible.
It's hotel
Sorry, there you
manager
go.
Elizabeth.
I thought somebody was trying to AI you as a Horizon or Verizon worker or whatever. Sell me a cell phone.
Oh
I
yeah.
was I was thinking that you guys should ask him about how gases don't require a container to be pressurized.
Oh, they just require a little
Ooh, Chris.
gravitational coefficient.
You want to ask Chris? Hey man, Chris, do you want to tell them why gas pressure doesn't require containment? You can type it in the chat if you want. And I know you're driving, bro. It's all right. But it's the most illogical shit you've ever heard, though. So
Has anyone ever heard someone defend the globe without being logically fallacious? That'd be very interesting.
no, he just
Nope.
typed it in. He typed it in the chat. He said gravity. Way to be honest, Chris. There you go.
Shane, what are
Uh,
your thoughts on gravity providing the necessary barrier in terms of the way that heliocentrism and globularity describes it? What are your thoughts on the
Necessary.
big G, little g,
You mean the ever
holding gas
increasing
pressure?
series, the pressure gradient of ever decreasing propensity as you increase altitude that somehow magically terminates in no atmosphere that results in holding in all the Earth's atmosphere? I think it's kind of bogus. But I know that's
I'm
a
not
direct answer, so
I'm not sold on it. Like I could be convinced of it, but I'm not sold on it.
yeah, I mean, their answer has to be like that. It's like, well, look, it has to be a gradient because gravity. That's literally the entire answer. Like, wait, what?
let's see. Oh, I thought we had a new person comes in. All right.
Hmm. Yo,
Yeah.
Shane, does would atmospheric pressure fall off at r squared then, or would it be linear still? It would have to fall off at r squared, right? Is that a thing?
Hmm. I think it's linear. Hold on, let's find out.
Yo, imagine your gradient's not falling off at r squared. It's just like doing the wrong geometry. Oops.
Well, it's like now we can just I can go Google it and I can find out what the globular position is without being called a retard or whatever. You know, actually talking to one. Find it's easier. Oh, look at that.
Uh,
It's not linear. It's inversely proportional to the square of the radius.
Yeah, but like, is it though? Like, obviously,
Yeah,
it's gonna like say that, but is it?
yeah. The equation they're showing is of that nature. It looks like.
Show or send it to me?
Yep.
Corey said he messaged the images on Discord.
Nice, I got him. Thank you, Corey.
Nice. Oh, you got one without a globe. Nice. Thank you. Perfect. Dude, that's dope.
Hey, have you guys seen John?
No.
Inshallah, I never see him again, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like, I haven't seen him in a while.
Have you been on? You been to Earth Awakenings?
No, not in a while.
Okay, maybe he's over there. Maybe he's over there. It's because I know he hasn't exited the conversation because he did a room over here about the 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 geocentric Earth being a globe or whatever.
I mean,
Nice.
Yeah, I know. So
I know he was over in Discord too. He had done another room about the celestial theodolite. Someone
Nice.
posted it. Yeah, I don't know if he's making like his own server or something.
well,
oh,
there are already multiple Circle Jerk Glober servers that exist that he probably
I think
found
he's
some
gonna
way to.
change the map.
what you say, Chilla?
No, I was gonna say I think he's gonna. It seems like he's gonna change the narrative about it. You know, because I remember when he first, heard about it, he was saying the position of the house didn't matter, right? But in his rooms, he'll tell you, no, it does matter where the position of the house is. And when I called him out on it, he just simply like laughed me off. I said, hey, I thought you said that didn't matter. That was the brilliant thing about the celestial body. Yeah, right. He just laughed it off and didn't address it. And I haven't seen him since.
Unlucky.
He's working in the kitchen.
I got money. He over there pretending to work out. He at the gym watching somebody else.
Nah, I'm getting it in. Getting his arms. Getting his arms right.
Well, without noticing what John was talking about, I guarantee you that he was arguing against a straw man version of the celestial theodolite that he has been explicitly told a dozen times is not our position, but he would aggressively argue against it anyway. I'm just guessing.
Oh yeah.
So the last time I spoke with John, he was trying to do a celestial theodolite measurement himself over a distance of 1 mile, which would create an elevation difference of 8 inches. And the sky moves at 4 arc seconds a second. So that's like, low key retarded. You wouldn't be
Why
able
did he
to.
pick 1 mile?
Well, he's trying to make it so that the geometric positions line up and that they like overlap so that it looks like it's the same. But the point of it is like the timing difference, right? And if your timing difference, like, do you think you're going to measure if the sky's moving at 4 arc seconds a second, which translates to like a couple thousand meters or a couple hundred meters, something like that. Like but your difference is going to be 8 inches. You're going to measure that's, come on, dude. It's not even possible. So he's going to turn a non-measurement into the quote unquote falsification of it. It's actually like one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen.
It's really sickening to witness live as well.
Welcome to our world.
Yeah, I feel for you guys having to deal with that as a perpetual constant. My God.
He dealt with that for years.
Oh, that's terrible.
Years. He would come in. The thing is, at first, he didn't know anything about like any of the arguments. And so when you talk to him, and he would deny it, but being like he didn't know anything, and so you backed him into a corner.
Yeah, he didn't know what not to do either.
Right, he didn't know what not to say. And so we just beat up on him like for years with all the experiments and the arguments. And so the more he learned how to be disingenuous with them. And so it just became frustrating. Like, oh God, you've been intentionally obtuse right now. All right, you don't want to say the truth. And then he starts gasping. Mm-hmm.
And you can feel it. You can hear it when he starts to know it and then not say it and then slimily word his way around it.
Mm-hmm.
When he's up against it, he'll just say the same thing he's been saying, but very slowly, antagonistically, as condescendingly as he possibly can, very slowly, until the point that he gets interrupted, so we can make it about that. Right? Super easy side eject.
Say what? It's observably a globe. Everybody knows it's a globe.
Let me just spout fallacious bullshit slowly all over everything.
Oh yeah, my man. Nah, bro. Been dealing with that for years, dude. It's been great. Like I said, sometimes it's fun to just beat up on him because you can hear his brain breaking in real time. And other times, it's tiring. So we move on.
I'll tell you, it is fun to bring any sort of new argument to any glober because independently they know nothing, right? So if you have a new argument because you're a creative, independent thinker, thinking for yourself, putting evidence together to form a cohesive logical position, so therefore you can make new observations, as in the celestial theodolite, right? When we first put that forward, it was decimating. but you can make observations and critical arguments like that, and individually they have no idea how to respond, right? Because as a cult, they have to get to their doctrine. Their answers have to be cohesive with the previous lore, as we call it. So they have a series of allowed answers. If you're going to talk about gravity, here's where your talking points are, right? Which is why we take them to special relativity and nonsense that they're not comfortable with, because that's how it gets retarded. But I forgot what I was going to say. It's fine.
Oh wait, we have somebody who wanted to talk to you. Araya, do you want to talk to Shane right now? Instead of just talk shit in the chat, would you like to make an argument?
What are you snacking on,
Araya?
Linnell?
Oh, grapes, man.
Grapes, not bad, not bad, not a bad choice.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Araya's here. Araya, what argument did you have with, or what position of Shane's did you want to combat? I know you said you had some stuff. What did you have, Araya?
Basically, it was in the model when you have the options to select eclipses, shadows, yada yada yada. If you press the eclipses tab, what you have is it plays like a little short video, and it goes through the eclipses, shows you the dates, phases of the moon, so on and so forth.
Yep.
What you have is the sun and the moon orbiting toward the east,
Appearing to move
and
backwards.
excuse me.
Appearing to move backwards, right?
That's not what I saw. I saw the sun and the moon orbiting east over an azimuthal equidistant surface.
So I saw before you said it was the eclipse animation. When you hit the animation to show you, an example of eclipses, it goes through, and then the sun and the moon appear to move backwards, is what I thought you were going to say, because that was your original contention. But that's because the zodiac and the stars are, jumping forward so quickly that it gives the illusion of it moving backwards. Dave Weiss's app does the same thing, actually. If you open up like his map and put on the sun and the moon and the stars, and then you jump the date 1 month forward rapidly, the sun will appear to move backwards through the zodiac as it progresses. But that's what it's doing when it's setting up the animation for the eclipse, because it's dealing and showing you where the solstice, equinox, and lunar nodes are.
With an eastward orbit?
What do you mean with the eastward orbit?
I mean, you have the sun and the moon orbiting toward the east, and it's showing the phases of the moon and the dates in synchronous order. And you have the sun and the moon orbiting toward the east.
Clockwise or counterclockwise?
Toward the east.
I don't know what that means, man. I don't know what you say.
On an azimuthal equidistant flat surface toward the east. You have the sun and the moon orbiting toward the east, showing the eclipses, the dates, all in synchronous order.
So they rotate. They rotate clockwise. Hold on. Just turn on wicked loud, dude. So you're saying that they appear to rotate counterclockwise, which is counter to the normal clockwise rotation?
On an azimuthal equidistant map, you have the sun and the moon orbiting toward the east.
Can anyone help me out?
I mean, okay, so it's on the azimuthal
All right.
equidistant.
Maybe say which way. Maybe say which way you're facing. Like
I'm saying,
pretend
no, I'm clear.
So are you,
I'm saying
Araya, are you
I'm saying
saying that it's
toward the
going
east.
from west to east? He's saying it's going from west to east.
Toward the east. Yes. The sun and the moon, he has it going toward the east when you press the eclipses tab on his model. And
Okay, what way is it going when you don't press the eclipse on my model, in your words?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, if you just use the slider, you can take it any way you want.
Well, no. How would you describe? Would you say that it's going west normally then?
No, I think
Uh,
what's going on in that eclipses display is the correct orbit. It's just that you have an azimuthal equidistant projection, so it's gonna force the sun and the moon to orbit toward the east because it's countering for the rotation of the Earth toward the east and the orbit of the moon toward the east. But on an azimuthal equidistant projection, that's the only way it's going to function if you're just going to let it just do an automatic orbit in order, in synchronous order. But
Just a
yeah,
quick, my fault. I just had a quick question. When you say hit the eclipses tab, you saying when you hit the tab, it starts to move from the west to the east?
yeah, the play is like a 2 minute kind of like little video
I think
display.
that's just an animation because I did the same thing, right? I just hit it, right, and it did this little thing, an animation, and it stopped. Right, I think that's just a animation that you can just play with the sliders, and you can change the time of the day, and that'll move the moon and sun back and forth. So if you're talking about just hitting the eclipse tab and it's moving an animation, I think that's just animation. I don't think that's
yeah, no,
anything.
it's like a trainer video. It shows you how eclipses work in a sequence of 6 little videos that you can move through with the arrows that go back and forth. If you touch other stuff during it, though, it kind of breaks it. So like you can start moving it back and forth on the day slider, but that'll stop the animation sequence, which is showing you eclipses. But when you start the sequence, they start going, to me, backwards, right? So however they're going normally, let's call that normal. And then when you hit the eclipse rotation, they appear to move backwards. And like I said, that to me is a result of when you progress sidereal rotation and difference with solar time than you get because of the 4 minute difference, right? 3 hour 23 hours 56 minutes for sidereal, 24 for solar. That difference means the sun moves between or through the zodiacs, and when you accelerate that time, which is what it does when the eclipse is, and it moves quickly through time, it gives the optical illusion of the sun moving backwards. And like I said, you can replicate the same thing in David Weiss's app if you hit next month over and over and over again. You are arguing that, like Jaren's position, that the Tropic of Capricorn curves the other direction or something? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I was just addressing that on your app.
All right.
Yo, Shane, check your DMs. There's no radius in the barometric pressure equation, brother.
Yeah, they just said it was squared and then used the radius.
Yeah, ChatGPT you.
Yep. I was like, I think it would be linear, and then I was like, let me ask AI. Well, it says it's not. It uses a squared function, so I guess it's not linear. And it's like, oh, dude, you know what they did? That square function equals 1. Cancels right out.
Oh yeah, they gamma factored it out, bro. They put relativity in and then took it right out.
Like it's
The old
present in the
flip
equation,
flop.
right? But it has no meaning, and it's gone.
Hey guys, I'm bringing in relativity, and then like you have this like big sack, but it's full of the lab frame, and it's not full of relativity at all.
Yep, that's what happened, dude. So that's what the answer is directly, right? It's like, look at this long equation with an r squared term in it, and you're like, oh, obviously it's not linear. The result can't be linear. It's got a squared. It's like, no, square falls right out. It's back to linear.
Unlucky.
Crazily consistent when they do that shit.
What's your guys' favorite mathematical deception?
Mathematical deception. Ooh, how about that Haversine means that Earth's a globe?
Ooh, that's a classic, dude.
Wait a minute, you said what? Say it again.
What's your guys' favorite mathematical
No. I heard what the
deception?
question.
Oh,
What was it, Shane? What was your answer? What did you say?
How the Haversine like pretends the Earth is a globe or whatever.
The Haversine. What's that?
So it's a spherical trig function to get the distance between 2 points, but they say it's because Earth is a sphere, and it's not. It's calculated on the spherical grid of long lat, which is the graticule, right? And its parameters are specifically tied to latitude, longitude. So therefore, its result and determination are tied to the coordinate system in which it's measured, meaning that it's, because the coordinate system is spherical, has nothing to do with a spherical Earth. That's all that means. So latitude, longitude by itself is just the graticule, which is not synonymous with the Earth.
Can you guys also break down how how in the equations, like the pretty much the mass cancels out, so it's pretty much pointless to add it in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So starting with something like Kepler's laws or Newton's laws, which are derivable from Kepler's, where they have G m m over r squared, and we have a big G, and we have a big M, and we have a little m. And basically, in algebra, when you have terms that are the same, you can cancel them out. So, and then you could like switch things around, invert them, etc., or multiply them to cancel them out. So things that are squared and things that are uh, similar terms. So, two masses in the equation, those will cancel out. And then, so basically, when you're canceling out the big mass against the little mass, all you're left with is the gravitational potential constant, which isn't doing anything for you. And it just becomes a ratio of the thing that actually changes that you're putting in the equation, which is the periodicity, which is just how long it takes to complete a circle. So each one of those things will share proportionality to the ratios, or they'll share proportionality to the constants when you ratio against them. So when you quote unquote, algebraically solve out GMM over R squared, you might be led to the impression that, you just did a dynamic equation where masses and gravitational potential are involved. But, because you can cancel them out, it's clearly not the causal mechanism, right? Like the only thing that changes in the equation is the periodicities that you put in. So it's just a function of a ratio of a periodicity again.
Yep. The context is that you equate centripetal force to gravitational force, because gravitational force, historically we think is made up by Newton when he took Kepler's laws. It was like, look, you see how you have observed periodicities? Well, boom, it's caused by my random mass that I'm going to insert into your equation. And that's why you can derive one from the other. And that's why it simplifies to like t squared approximately equaling r cubed, which is, the square of the orbital period, meaning directly proportional to the cube of the semi-major axis. That's how it comes out. So when you put the mass in, it doesn't matter. You could factor it. You could factor it right out. But it's only when you're trying to you equate centripetal to gravitational force, and that's when the mass drops out. So in any instance, when you're trying to determine the effect of gravity, mass has no relevance when you're talking about the orbits of planets.
Now here's the other side to that argument, right? So in the quote unquote solar system, within what they consider the solar system, including the Earth, this GMM R squared, or this GMM R squared equation, is supposedly holds true, right? And that's because essentially the mass of the sun is so big, even all the other planets added up together, it doesn't matter, doesn't change it at all. So what you could do on Earth, right, for satellite orbits, you could GMM R squared them using Earth's mass and the satellite mass, right? But it's just gonna cancel out. But you could do that equation, right? And then you could say like, oh, well, there's mass in there, therefore it must be, yada yada, right? But the only thing that is relevant in that equation is how fast it takes that satellite to return back to the same point. That's the only thing that's determining anything about the so-called correctness of the equation in terms of how far away it is and how much it weighs and how much gravitational potential it has with respect to the Earth and all that. So that's one of the ways that they'll try to flip the argument and say, well, only within the solar system. And it's like, okay, well, when they started observing things, outside of the so-called solar system, right? Where they're like, okay, now this is spinning too fast. Now we need to introduce dark matter, dark energy. This is where all these terms come from, because these ratios that they applied to celestial mechanics as we know them in our solar system didn't work out in the quote unquote, interstellar greater outer space or whatever they call it. So they had to introduce new terms, new constants to offset how much they were off.
But yeah, the whole joke of, oh, we know how much planet weighs because of this equation is hilarious. It's literally just based on this algebraic trick where mass has no dynamic place in there. And then from there, they algebraically simplify it to be like, oh, now we know the mass of a planet. We solve for M, so to speak. The fake M that we didn't need that we jammed in there will then solve for it as if it has a real world value or whatever. But really, that's just ratios of, say, the astronomical unit, which is itself ratio of radius, which is all just stellar observations anyway. So periodicities and observations is all it is, and that's all Kepler had was observations, empirical measurements, kinematics only. And then Newton came along and stole everything and just said, actually, I'm going to do the same thing, and now it's dynamically caused by mass. That's literally the magic of Newton.
Shane, I see that class you took on how to make things simple is really paying off, bro. I'm proud of you. Nah, that's good shit, guys.
No, not you making a nasty booty burger while we got Gessler now. Come on, bro.
That shit was funny. Dude, you remember last time we was here, Shane said he was working on talking, explaining things in a simpler way and shit. I see it's really paying off. Like he's doing a great job.
Dude, I go for a quicker, which ends up being concise and dense, right? I'm like, how can I just say all of this the quickest way?
Hey Shane, check Discord DM if you could put that link in the chat. So if you guys want to see an algebraic breakdown, there's a Red's Rhetoric video titled Measuring the Distance to the Sun, where he has a gentleman come on and do a guest breakdown of deriving Kepler's third law and Newton's third law, in Newtonian dynamics. So like he shows how you can algebraically cancel out and shuffle things around and go through that process, and like what all that looks like what they're doing with the terms and stuff. It's a really nice breakdown. It's 6 minutes. It's about 4 minutes long or whatever. Definitely worth checking out, because once you see what they're doing and like where the mass goes, it's like, oh, you're just playing 3-card Monte, but with pen and paper, that's all they're doing.
So basically, like, I'm trying to simplify this question. So basically, we're saying, hey, they are using like numbers for these satellites, but they're just adding they just add this number here to say, hey, we, don't forget to account, for the curvature of the, don't forget to account for the mass of the Earth, and kind of like how what's that other thing I'm thinking of? Shit, it lost me. But basically, yeah, you're just basically saying, hey, kind of like how like some would say what snipers do with the Coriolis effect, or like, hey, got to account for the rotation of the Earth, but we actually don't see that happening. Kind of, I'm trying to make it relate to
it's like
satellites and how
it's like they have
people come in here and they'll say, hey,
they have a fancy calculation, but they don't realize that the correctness of their calculation is based on the ratio of the periodicity and not the dynamic cause asserted by mass attracting mass. Because like if you like to get into to get into mass attract, well, you can derive one from the other, so essentially they would be the same, right? But to kind of let's like break in, like let's fill in the blank, right? It's like, how do we get this big M? How do we get this mass for the constant of the Earth? And that's where Shane would like to tell everyone about the Cavenfish experiment.
What? Oh yeah, I gotta go get my notes on that one. What I was gonna say, and that's because that's a whole big density observation from an observed torsion balance, dude, and that's complicated-ish. But if you're gonna talk about satellites and GPS, they literally have to operate for real inertial forces, meaning centrifugal, Coriolis, and Euler forces, as if space moves around a stationary Earth. That's the only way physically that satellites and GPS works, and that's how the math and the equations and the physics that keep them up there work. So, Earth is stationary, according to satellites.
Let me ask two quick questions. Well, one would be, I've always wondered this about elevation, right? Like I guess like land elevations, is curvature baked into elevations, like from sea level? like land elevation?
Yeah, so they use geodetic datums for that. Geodesic datums for the spherical coordinates of WGS 84, things like that. Those are spherical like geodatums. So what they do with sea level is they literally make sea, like, you know how we say like level is level and Glover say level is curved. Funny story, they make sea level curve to fit the geodal datum. The way they do it is repetitive sea level measurements and data from there, and then at each level that goes up, they just apply it to the geoid datum, the spherical model with corrections, and they use sea level until it's curved. It's the goofiest thing I've ever seen. D3 called my attention to that a couple weeks ago on Twitter. He was like, "Hey, I gotta look into these sea level beams," and we downloaded a bunch of data from I think Noah and all them stuff, and we were looking at it like, what are we looking at here? And it's non-pre-corrected data to the spherical datum to make level in fact curved. So that's how they get away with that. But that has to do with geodetic surveying and all their modeling corrections. So they take planar measurements and wrap them around a ball.
Yeah, that's crazy. Every time we get those black and white papers for anything spherical, it's just there's like the whole tables of corrections. It's like why do you have so many corrections? You know, like what are you correcting? Like, and when we see the opposite, you know, you get a hold of some of those papers that say, hey, we use a flat non-rotating, Earth for these derivations. You don't see that. You know, it's just like, hey, everything's good to go. So, every time I see corrections, I'm wondering if it's just, okay, it's flat, and we're just going to correct for a sphere.
You got it. We nailed that. That's exactly it every time.
Imagine
all the details, but that is the end. Yeah.
Dude, imagine we had a flatness correction coefficient that we could apply to any measurement, and any measurement that was taken that they were like, look, guys, it is a globe. And we would be like, well, hold on, tell us how high you were first. And we can apply.
We need to make corrections. Let's make some corrections.
Look, if I flatten out that spherical,
flat corrections.
Yeah, it makes it flat. So look how flat it was. We applied our flattening correction, and it's level again. Stupid Globers don't even know how to do math.
No, that's funny, but that's like I haven't seen anything differently. Have not seen anything differently.
Dude, if you look into geodetic surveying, that's a fun one because you'll start to see it's completely. It's like, okay, well, let's take a measurement. Okay, how high above it? All right. Well, how many degrees? All right. Now it's like, where was the star? What? Yeah, we got to see where the star. We got to see
where was Venus's moon?
You're like, wait, what are we measuring? Like, yeah, we're measuring the Earth. We got the ground, and it's okay. Well, when's the next eclipse? No, even the astronomical corrections to tables, latitude corrections, transcontinental insertions, like literally every correction is an adherence to a spherical coordinate system, in which is in effect an attempt to force a planar measurement into a curved model. That's all it is.
Dude, if they got to the end of that arc of the parallel book and didn't find the ball, I'd be thoroughly impressed. It'd be super hard not to.
Throwing out measurements that don't comport with the presupposed radius of the model that you're working with, astronomical tables for every latitude correction, all sorts of latitude, longitude correction models. You can change out which spheroid model depending on the data halfway through. It was the American Arc of the Parallel is a great document. Everyone should check it out. mctoon.net/SE, I think.
SE, yep.
I know this is random, but I don't know. I'm just asking a fucking high question, but when as far as like the space industry goes, and in regards to satellites, I don't know, like what. I guess I'm answering my own question, but never mind. Fuck it. I was just kind of gonna ask. I don't know, like. I'm answering my own question. I was gonna ask when did all that kind of happen, but it was pretty obvious. But that's it.
Well, my second question that I was gonna ask you guys is so we wanted to do.
Yeah, my bad. No more high questions.
It's all good, Chilla. Just let it marinate, bro, and then bring it out. But what I was gonna ask is my phone died. But so we wanted to kind of do like what you guys do, kind of round tables and shit like that. And and I do join sometimes like your round table and shit like that. But that should be too advanced, right? Like you really need to definitely have some knowledge in some of these terms and equations and shit like that. So what would you guys recommend, right? So like let me see, how can I put this? So like throughout your journey, right, of like learning different things, right, in physics, if you were to recommend someone to start, right, like would you literally tell them to start how you did, like your exact path, or is there like an easier way that you would recommend them? Well, not easy, right, but like a specific way, like in chronological order kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a prescribed path through relativity and interferometry that we could recommend for
There you
sure.
go. Yes.
It's a set of experiments you should look into in a certain order. I think Michelson Morley are probably Aries failure, then Michelson Morley, and then Michelson Gale. I think I don't know. I have to ask. I have to work on the list. But there's definitely a prescribed order that I think we can benefit having gone through it or whatever.
I think I can try and put something together. But I think the easiest way to go through it would be to start with um, Einstein's 1905 paper and just take screenshots of sections of it, like, just read it and then take screenshots of it and copy paste it into ChatGPT and have it give you summaries of what, like, give it further context or whatever. And then you can actually have it explain equations and stuff to you, and it'll break down like what they're doing and what they're trying to do with them. And then once you start identifying that, and you can kind of understand, like, you're reading a story about, most of the time they tell you, what the equation is, or like what variable they're using or what they're doing. And once you understand that, following along is way easier. And then a lot of times, like, they'll even tell you like what kind of trick they're doing, right? But then it has like a fancy name to it. So then you have to like look up the name and figure out like what that is and how it applies or whatever. And it's a slow process, right? But you could definitely expedite it by utilizing ChatGPT, especially with math equations. It will break down variables, tell you what they are. That's super, super helpful in understanding
Is that the
what
best
what they're putting
homework?
for. What's that?
Is that like the best homework you would say to start on that? And is that paper easily Googleable?
Yeah, super, super easily Googleable, and with the Chat GPT assist, like, you'll power learn it.
Gotcha. Appreciate that. I'll definitely get started on that for sure. Well,
Yeah,
unless you want to do that as a group.
dude, don't be afraid to use AI tools. I use this thing called
Dude,
Sci Summary
dude,
for a whole
are
bunch
are
of
we gonna
equation
have?
shit.
Can we have relativity night and we'll do like intro to relativity, or just
Well,
intro to
of
like,
course.
Oh
or
my
we get,
gosh, we would love that.
dude, yes.
But Alan, like, don't we need visuals, bro? Like, here is cool,
Yes,
but
you guys are gonna go to
Okay,
Discord. I thought
yeah,
Big Spec
we
was making a Discord, right? You guys have one?
Well, we were
yes.
discussing it and we said we could, right, if we wanted to just utilize it for the visual purposes. And just to touch on doing an intro to relativity, I'm assuming that we'll just break down the differences between special and general, correct?
no, we'll start with just the straight baby introduction to how and
Okay.
why, and then onto the general. I mean, like, they try and overcomplicate it and like make it seem all crazy, but like, one's just about moving in a straight line and the other one's about gravity. Then, like, they're both doing the same thing, right? They're bending time and dilating it as a function of how fast they're moving or how much gravity there is. That's like the big secret, and that they don't want you to know. And then another big secret is that in in their math that they try to use to explain interferometry, they always insert uh, absolute time, which is like a big no-no for them. They don't believe in that. They're not allowed to do it, but they slip it in every time, and they're like, "Look, boys, we found relativity here. Psych, just don't look super hard or call us out." But like, it's all just like convoluted. It's all like dressed up to be overly uh, overly complicated, right? But it's pretty straightforward.
And
Wait,
whenever
real
I'm
quick,
wrong,
off topic. Did you guys get your surprise from Peter?
Never met her.
who?
Peter, what's his name? From X.
Oh, I don't know. That dude says things like I really don't know him. Like, you know.
No,
Oh,
I'm not
because he had
listening.
said that he had a surprise for you guys.
Didn't Mortawan say in like 7 months they were gonna have something for us, Alan? Like in July. They said it like 3 months ago or whatever. They were like, "You wait for July. Can you
Nah.
just wait?"
All right, I guess not then.
So somebody said they had some surprise they were cooking up on there in the Globe server from like months ago, but then they stopped
Dude,
hanging out. So I guess it all
somebody
fizzled out, dude.
somebody typed this out loud once. It was, come to my server and talk about the celestial theodolite, you'll get wrecked. It's like you what? You can't you can only argue it on a different locate. Like, what does that even mean?
You obviously haven't come and given a presentation on my server, so that's not every server. Therefore, you're wrong.
And the guy who typed it was in chat. Like, he could have like did what he was gonna do in his server on that one. But he was like, you gotta leave and come to a different spot and do it, and then I'll best you, sir. Like, all right.
So you guys are gonna make a Discord and have a relativity night? Is that what we just decided? Make sure that pass that in stone or whatever.
I'm definitely with that. Are we like starting up a new server? Like, what are we doing?
Yep, one of you guys is to make a server. That's what I'm trying to get to happen.
Nice.
Right, I guess we would need that. We would need a server over there. That way we just have it for relativity night and any other topics.
Do you guys know how to build Discord servers from scratch? That seems like a silly question as I got it halfway out.
Yeah, Shane, you know what is gonna have to happen? Like,
Yeah, we're gonna have to build it and then give it to him. That's what I
build
think.
it. Like, I think we can just give him the whole template.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure we can export the template.
Yeah, let me know because I mean I've never built one, but I mean I'm very computer savvy, so I could just like Google it, and YouTube it, and figure it out. But if you guys have a template, make it easier. Sure, I'll take on the task, I guess.
Could definitely figure it out, but it's way more complicated than it seems because it has its own hierarchical system for user roles, permissions, etc. Right? So you got to learn like whole architecture, and then if you're running it, you're like assigning roles and keeping people doing checks or VC. So whatever the implementation is, it's probably more complicated than that. But I have faith that Lisbeth will figure it out the first time, flying colors, no questions asked.
Just one tap it, perfect security.
Yeah, definitely the one tap. That's the best description. No, it's fine, especially if you get a template. You don't have to do anything, like all that stuff. You don't have to know about it. It'll just work in the background. Ideal. And then you get to screen share it with people, and you can be like, "Hey, Alan, look at this," and you can be like, "What?" And then his screen will show up on your screen, and you can be like, "This," and then you can explain it. It's very helpful.
How long does it take to like get it up and running?
10 to
Minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
No, that's not too bad.
Yeah. Shane can speed run it. Like how I just delegated you.
Yep. But I think you have the template control. Unless
What? I can't hear you. My power out prank caller.
Going through the tunnel. I think I have a template for ADL or whatever. That should be fine, actually. Less sophisticated.
No, I can do
check,
the Aether cause template. I'm pretty sure.
No check division.
I'll figure it out later. But yeah, we could definitely do that. Is that Biastocles coming in from work? Joining as a listener? What up, Beast?
Hey, Giovanni, I'm looking at what you typed in the chat. Could you give a brief summary of the video you posted? It's my first time seeing that. And how long ago was it? I'm not sure. I'm driving, so I haven't done it myself. That's why I'm asking. But yeah, if you wouldn't mind. What's up, Beasticles?
I like how that makes him sound like balls, where Biasticles like makes
Yo,
him sound like
I
a
always.
learned erudite.
Yo, you know what's funny? yeah, yeah, I thought about it when I said it. Like,
Yo, what up,
definitely okay.
balls?
It's
What
Biasticles.
up?
Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha.
What's up, everybody? I did just get off work, indeed. Little flat Earth gang chill shash. Okay. What you guys been talking about?
Talked a little celestial theody, talked a little algebraic shuffling, talked a
Little
little
null hypothesis, celestial
little
theodolite,
yeah,
M dropping out, kinematics, dynamics, math, Kepler, Newton,
The
and
huge.
surveying.
Got it.
huge.
Yeah. That's what's up. Yeah, it's
We
been
can
pretty
talk
good.
about Sagnac. We'll have the wild turkey or whatever in
Oh,
bowling.
what was that one paper you guys were reading about? Like, oh yeah, the Sagnac proves relativity because they have to use the lab frame or something.
Oh
like
man, dude, that's literally all of them. Actually, you just every one of them. Any paper that's ever been created that says relativity and Sagnac in the same sentence does the same thing.
Look, no point's special, but for this demonstration of how no point's special, I'm going to designate this special point in the middle of this Cartesian coordinate system. And then I'm going to cylindrically transform it around it, and boom, Sagnac.
And I'll make the midpoint match the lab frame too, just for good measure. But don't tell anyone. It's just a coincidence or whatever. Dude, oh my god, I couldn't believe that, dude.
Insane. Well, you see, relativity is proven real because of the calculations we got, or the measurements we got in the lab frame. Wait, what? So why do you have to use relativistic derivations then? Why can't you just use the lab frame? There's no answer.
Well, dude, that's the effect of relativity. It's one of the only things that can be simultaneously the most true theory to ever grace science, and simultaneously the biggest pile of dog shit that's ever been shat. Right? It's like, oh wait, one of those two things is wrong. Either it's right about everything, or it's wrong and retarded. It's like the secret is it just adapts to everything after the fact and pretends that it doesn't.
Is it even falsifiable? Because I mean, they have an answer for everything.
Great question. Is it even falsifiable? Dude, no. So, under the original special framework, right, you're supposed to use a specific type of mathematic transformation for it. And then when they came out with the general theory, they were like, hey, you guys, we can make this apply to anything. So if they made it apply to everything, then it applies to nothing and has no meaning. But because they, mathematically satisfy, quote unquote, satisfy their conditions, they're like, oh, look, we're doing a great job, Pop. But it has no meaning. Because they broke like the quote unquote meaningful relationship of it, right? Because they're like, oh, look, this is unique. And like, you have to treat it this way. And then they were just like, we could expand it to everything if we just, come up with a way where we can insert our own boundary and input conditions. And everyone was like, gave a little silent nod. And they were like, yeah, dude, they'll never figure it out.
Crazy.
Well, if you ask questions, obviously you don't get it and you're retarded. So get in line, boy.
Get in line, boy. Yeah, that's nuts.
Overall, it's always to browbeat people into, well, if you ask questions, conform or whatever, What? Yeah, obviously you don't understand it. Stop questioning the professor. What do you think? You're smarter than Einstein?
Yeah. Yeah, the strongest thing you can arm yourself with is the rule book. So you get their math rule book or their physics rule book, and then you look at what they're doing and you just start auditing them. You're like, why are you doing this? You specifically don't believe in this, and this violates your framework. And then they just say, you're retarded, and, where did you go to school and practice your relativity degree?
Doesn't Bennett always say that Einstein wrote like a preface about distinctly noticing kinematics versus dynamics and separating the two. And then when he put his theory forth, pretended that none of that happened and never distinguished them again and confused them the whole time as a main principle. So any proponents of the theory following then would have a sufficient difficulty in distinguishing kinematic and dynamic principles, you would think, right? And then it has to be, well, then by design, that's what it's meant to do, confuse and befuddle. And that's why Tesla called it what? A cloak to like the relativity is. He's pretty much says it's retarded in there to befuddle and dazzle with large big numbers and math, right? But it doesn't really mean anything.
Can you break down first order and second order?
Yep. So an easy way to start with it would be thinking of it in terms of chemistry. So say you have some chemical solution and you're going to introduce some other chemical solution, and if the reaction that you get out of that is directly proportional to what you added, then that would be a first order reaction because of the proportionality of the reaction to what you did to influence it. So when we're talking mostly in physics, when we're talking that, it would be like velocity, right? Would be like a first order effect because that's like a direct value. And then when we talk about interferometry and fringe readings in first and second order, right? So when you do the classic analysis or the classic derivation for like a fringe pattern prediction using velocity and the speed of light, what you'll find is that there's a proportional ratio there to the velocity over the speed of light, which gives you essentially c plus or minus v with respect to whichever direction you're moving in. And that would be a first order effect because the velocity, right, is directly proportional to the change in the speed of light, right? And the term, and it shows up in the form of plus or minus v, and the v being your velocity, right? So that's a first order effect. Now, second order effect would be something where, let's say you introduce a chemical compound and and the effect is much smaller, but there's still an effect. So it wasn't proportional to the first order amount that you put in, but it's proportional to some smaller amount, right? So you still had to do something, but you didn't get the same proportionality ratio essentially, right? And then so to look at that mathematically in relativity theory and how they apply things, because I'm sure we've all heard link contraction, time dilation. What's everyone's favorite movie? If it's not Matthew McConaughey, Black Hole Monday or whatever that movie was called, Galaxy Quest. If it's not any of those movies, then you're doing it wrong. Let's see here. Where was I at? Time dilation, right? Second order effects. So with these popular buzzwords, like what does that mean exactly, right? Well, link contraction and time dilation are second order effects. They're caused by velocity, right? They're caused by a first order effect. So there will be a first order effect of a velocity, right? And then there will be a second order effect of link contraction and time dilation. And the way that they write it out mathematically is that the change in time and space, link contraction and time dilation, are going to be a function of the square of the velocity over c squared, which just means they're getting in, because the velocities that they're dealing with are mostly much smaller than the speed of light. You're going to have a small numerator over a big denominator, and that's going to give you a really, really tiny number. So this second order effect that comes out of a mathematical transformation, right, to describe the change in difference between space and time for someone that's moving at x amount of speed, that amount of change, because it's a function of the square of the velocity over c squared, is going to be really, really small. So it'll never add up to the first order proportional ratio. So does that help at all?
No, that's great. That's great. I definitely need to look more into this, but no, that was definitely a good breakdown.
Awesome.
There's a good video on Alan's channel about the orders of measurement: first order, second order, third order. It's a pretty good one.
Oh, dude, I forgot about that. It's like 3 hours long though. It's a girther.
Good one.
You're right. Are you telling me I need to redo everything but make it an hour instead of 3?
What did I tell you was the
I
time
didn't say
frame?
anything like that, but that'd be cool.
You have to target someone in like 10 minutes or less. So you can't tell anyone anything.
Here's a good question. Well, maybe I don't know, but so the speed of light. I hear like a lot of contention with the speed of light. Do we actually know the speed of light?
Ooh, great question. The speed of light is some sort of mythological creature that has existed, and we don't really know how it was derived or whatever, right? We have this story from the Royal Society that essentially they had the values for it in the 1800 or 1818. A man named Fresnel proposed a theory that water would drag light and it would cause velocity addition or velocity subtraction depending on if the light was going with the flow of the water or against it. And to do that, you would have to know what the speed of light is as a value, right? And that was in 1818, right? And then so it wasn't until 1865, I think it was, or 66, where Maxwell comes along and he's like, "Look, guys, I mathematically linked the electric permittivity and magnetic permeability values, and the inverse square of that is the speed of light. Isn't that cool?" And then a couple years later, actually no, I think it was in 1852, a guy named Bazau took a light source, and over about 2 miles, he shines his light source back and forth, and he has a toothed cogwheel that's spinning at a fixed rate, and he's measuring the pulse rate of how many flashes he gets over the course of 20 minutes. And from that, he averages out what the speed of light would have to be for the return trip there and back to make it through the cogwheel, at that rate or versus its spinning rate. So he comes up with what the speed of light would have to be. There's actually a really cool YouTube video on that you guys can check out, of somebody did a modern reproduction of it. But anyway, it gives this value that's right around 300 kilometers a second, right? And then Maxwell derived the actual like mathematical value down to the whatever decimal place, right? So we have like it's like 299,700 something thousand, et cetera, right? Meters per second. And then in addition to that, so we have this value for velocity, right? And then at the same time that all this was going on, these lads were measuring the wavelengths of light. So they were splitting light through a diffraction grating. So like, just like a grating, they were just splitting light beams through that. And they were using a telescope to zoom in on it and look at it really fine. And they were measuring the wavelengths for different light sources. So like if they were using yellow light, white light, fire, et cetera, right? They would break the wavelengths apart and they would start to measure them out physically, right? And then they turned the wavelength separations into a unit of measurement, which is going to be the fringes or fringe patterns, right? So they came up with this relationship with wavelength and the speed of light and all this. So they have these measured values at like a constant, right? Because in physics you need, or in anything really, you need a constant. You need something for it to be relative to, right? We've all heard relative to what? Well, relative to your constant. So they establish these highly accurate measurements using a natural phenomenon, and they have a whole system of measurements and categorization of these things, right? And then they start applying them to interferometry, where they're splitting the light beam and then they're having it complete a circuit using reflective mirrors that are half silvered so that the beam can go through one way and come back on the other and then recombine. And when they complete this circuit, they're like, okay, if we split this beam such that it goes east and west to itself and then recombines on the other side, if the speed of light is the same in all directions, right, then because we know that this beam started in phase, we know that what the wavelengths are going to be, we know what we started with, then it should recombine on the other side and be the same. And what they found is that it was out of phase. And what they further found is that they could measure the physical distance of that fringe gap. So like the black pattern that's created by the overlapping waves where it creates destructive interference and it cancels out. They can measure the physical distance of that, and the square of that is proportional to whatever velocity they're measuring. So in 18, a little after the first experiment with the toothed cogwheel, a guy took light through running water that was moving at like 10 kilometers an hour or something like that. And he measured the velocity shift of that in addition to the refractive index, right? So, or independent of the refractive index, he measured this additional velocity that was translated from the water. And so that's what started the whole thing where they were like, okay, well, can we measure Earth through space and all that? So is there a speed of light? Is it accurate? It's the most accurate measurement known to man, right down to the wavelength. And the way that they've utilized it technologically, as long as how far you move is bigger than the wavelength that's making the measurement, all motion can be measured through light and these wavelengths at that speed. Now, the real crazy part though, right? So we've got this value, we've got this constant value for comparison, but when they take their measurements relative to the latitude, there's always a phase difference. There's always it's never quite what they want it to be. Right? There's always this plus or minus velocity addition that's happening, and they call that ball rotation, right? But we're saying, sidereal rotation, ether wind.
Mm. It's a
They
lot
say
in there, son.
constant. Yeah, they say constant, but they've never measured it as a constant in the way that they're presenting it through Einstein's paradigm.
You know, it leads more credence to our side though, is that uh, with altitude changes, that that fringe changes as well. It's pretty
Yeah.
wild. Like how could the rotation of Earth change at different altitudes? That doesn't make any sense on their paradigm, but in our
And even
paradigm,
better,
makes perfect sense.
right? And even better when they learn that, they're like, okay, from now on, oh wait, where does it get more pronounced the higher you go? Okay, well, get this. We're gonna take all our tests from the lowest basement we can find. Oh, you need to be in non-diffuse. Okay, we're gonna surround it with like cement. We're gonna bury it. Oh, the arms need to be the same length. Okay, well, we're gonna make them different lengths, and we're gonna do everything the wrong way to replicate this, so that we can say, quote, push the results closer to zero, right? So crazy scientific procedures to just obviously cover up the result because the inference and intention is clear, right?
Right. By the way, Liz asks, have we gotten any good rebuttal or biggest pushback on Battle of the Beams? Nope.
Dude, there was a podcast
Jeff Raskin, idiot.
called the Drunk Guy Podcast, right? And Drunk Guy Podcast was about 2 hours long, 2 hours, 30, 40 minutes, something like that. And at the beginning of Drunk Guy Podcast, it was stated by a guy refuting Battle of the Beams that he was going to add additional explanation to diffraction and refraction and not just say buzzwords, and he was going to be the hero that the globe needed and all these. He made a lot of promises, right? Watched the entire video. Promises were not fulfilled. He buzzworded and did nothing. There were some interesting technical points or whatever that was, nice. He had some cool visuals. Aside from the constant reminder that we're retarded, his overall Prezi was pretty interesting and had some nice facts that I didn't have in mind. So if you're interested in the Battle of the Beams narrative and story, I mean, dude, his Prezi ain't half bad, dude. Like, does he explain it as a globe? Like, not really, but does go into some cool details and give some specificity to some things that are awesome and interesting to learn about. So I recommend it.
Yeah, you basically made it a pedantic argument.
He was
While
like,
not
"What?"
addressing any of
It's
the
like,
geometry of the problems. He was just like, you guys don't get it.
You
Okay,
guys don't get it. Let me
great,
tell you some
great.
information about this. Okay, cool, bro. Did you rebut anything? No. You guys are just retarded. Like
That
that
was
was
the answer.
literally it for 2 hours, and me and Galatrax painfully went through that shit.
Thanks for that, because that was excellent.
It's
And
crazy,
isn't
dude.
light just on or off? I mean, who the heck came up with speed?
Well, there's an induction rate, right?
Exactly.
The same thing. You can call it a speed. They can treat it mathematically the
Hello?
same. We don't quibble about that.
yo,
Oh,
Hello?
all right. So we got my man Uncle Ruckus in the building. Uncle Ruckus is a glober, right? But he's reasonable. And so Uncle Ruckus thinks that we're fighting an uphill battle and the globe has the science. Is that right, Uncle Ruckus?
But you know you're fighting an uphill battle. You're going against everything that has already been critically acclaimed, everything that's already been claimed by science. You're going against the whole space race. You're going against the Soviet Union. You know you guys are going. You're going against nations right now. So yes, you know very well it's uphill.
Well, I guess the question is, how much do you trust government?
And this is the reason why I'm reasonable, because I don't trust the government
Well, is it
at
is it
all.
more
Respect.
than
So therefore,
zero?
Well, hold on,
and this is the reason
hold
why
on.
I'm willing to have the conversation.
Yeah, we've reached massive common ground, lads. Yeah.
This is the reason why I'm willing to have the. I mean, look what Trump got in office, right? He pointed out how much shit that they were doing already, which we already knew. We
Wait,
already had these conversations, but now it's in like the public view how corrupt these officials are, right? Now everybody knows, right? So why would I trust them? I don't trust them. I do believe that there's politics in science. I do believe that there's an aim and a reason why they do certain. I do believe that, but it's just like, come on now, like we're talking about space here, right? Like most of us don't even fucking know our neighborhoods, let alone what the fuck's in outer space. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't know, man. This is one of those ones where it's like
Yeah, Uncle Ruckus, I got a
I
question
don't
for
know.
you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you subscribe to
Yo, is
the
that water?
Yeah,
Yo,
it's
water.
yeah. What's
Yo,
up?
what a way to just make your comeback, brother. Like, if you had to choose any time, this is the best time, bro. Like, on,
No,
yeah, but I don't know if this is a good time, water. I don't know if
I
right
know how to
now is a good.
talk now. I know how to talk,
Talk
man.
for a
Don't
second.
ask me.
Let Ruckus
Let me
talk.
ask Uncle Ruckus a question. Let me ask him a
No,
question.
wait.
No. I was done already though. You asked the
No,
question.
hold on, wait.
Yeah, he
Water.
let me ask the question.
No, oh, Jesus Christ. All right, you got
Let water get one. Let water get
one,
one question out. Let him get his one
one. That's
question.
it.
Okay, and don't baby me. I'm a grown up man. Okay, so do you subscribe to the observer's theory, the observation theory? Basically, when you're observing something, you are influencing it, meaning that I believe that nothing is outside the fucking body. Everything is consciousness. And when they discovered Neptune in the
Oh,
1600s,
okay, water.
yo,
All right, we're gonna put him back.
oh
We're
my
gonna put you back in the
god.
Pokeball, brother. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's not the conversation we're having right now.
Wait, real quick. Were you about to make the
Observation
argument that
theories.
Neptune was made through like an elevation of consciousness and exploring the cosmos through
Yeah,
technological advancement?
yeah,
Dude,
exactly.
have
Okay,
you ever
my
seen
bad.
the have you ever seen the
No,
YouTube
no,
have you ever seen the YouTube
Okay.
channel have you ever seen the YouTube channel Vat City? Vat underscore city?
no.
You
I
should.
just made that observation right now because it makes a lot of sense. When you think about it, did even the Egyptian pyramids exist? I don't think they exist. They're just that mark a
oh no.
historical. Like we have the mud flood theory too. Like these things are fake. Like we have globe, and we have the ancient Greek showing the Hermetics showing that there's a veil there. There's nothing, man. There's only breath. I don't believe in this bullshit. Like I'm going outside, I'm looking at people, and they're looking at me like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, they're looking at me like I'm an alien, man. It's
Okay.
scary for them, not for me. I don't know, because I can control people with my mind, so I don't care anymore.
That's really hard to
Un-
follow, bro.
yeah, real quick. Uncle Ruckus, have you ever heard of the empiricism point of view? Like where you take an entire empirical point of view? So, like, let me ask you, can you empirically prove that outer space, the way to describe it, is the way they describe it and is actually real and actually obtainable? Specifically, like
No,
us going to the moon.
I never did.
Never heard of that?
Hold a second.
Oh,
Well, we can all get common ground on zero trust in government and
Hello.
that rich oligarchs aren't going to do stuff
yeah,
for
Yo,
us.
welcome back.
exactly. Welcome back. Yeah. So I want to find common ground with you, brother. Just because you said you don't trust the government, and that's a
I,
great
I, I
stance, of
don't I
course.
don't trust the government, right? It's like when it comes down to it, right? I don't claim to be a scientist or a mathematician. So I don't claim to know everything that they're even talking about half the time, right? So I really feel like they do that on purpose. They don't put shit in layman's terms, right? So therefore
Yep.
now I have to actually know what the hell they're talking about to be able to transcribe it. You feel me? And then I got to dumb it down to be able to understand it, right? So therefore
Ooh.
I just don't know that half the time, right? So a lot of
100%.
if a lot of people accept it, right? And if I see evidence, I mean, I saw the moon landing, right? We saw that. We all saw that, right? So therefore, it's more so like if we all saw this shit, it's like I wouldn't assume that it's fake, right? My grandpa believes it. He's like 87 years old. He believes it happened, right? So
But
therefore, it's like,
what
who am
evidence do
I to
you
disagree?
actually? But like, think about the evidence you actually personally have about the moon landing being real. Like, do you really trust a handful of Freemasons that basically told you that they went to
I
the
mean, we
moon?
trust him with everything else, bro.
No, I don't.
Why
Yeah,
why do we only disagree with them on this one subject?
no, we
It's no,
disagree
no,
with
it's
on a
not
lot.
this. No, it's not this one
I
subject.
would disagree a lot.
You guys
Yeah.
know NASA and NASA in Hebrew is to deceive, right? Just putting that out there. It's almost like it's meant to
So now you're
deceive.
blaming the Jews and NASA?
Nope, just saying what the acronym means when pronounced in Hebrew.
Yeah, it's if you just think about like the actual like let's just take the historical timeline for example, right? We've never been back to the moon since. We never went before. It was this like national event. It was like televised, all across the world. Um, and it's just a propaganda stunt, man. If you really
It
think
was
about
just
it.
like 9/11 and just like COVID, if you want to draw parallels.
Yeah. I mean, you already understand that we can't trust the government. So it's like, why do you trust NASA, which is part of the government,
Well, it's like, well, what
I
part
just
of
don't feel like they have a reason to lie about this shit, bro. Why
to
do they
lie
have a
about
reason
where
to
you
lie
live?
they lie about
about the
everything?
fact that we've been to space or not? They only claim to go to the moon. They didn't claim that they discovered aliens or an ancient life
Okay.
form or
Okay.
nothing wild. All they claimed was we got to the moon,
All
and I
right.
can look outside and see the moon. So I feel like it's possible to get there. Like, you feel me?
But you said why the lie, right?
I
Like
feel like
why
it's
would you?
possible to get there, right? That's what they want you to hold on to forever in perpetuity. Because
Bro, we could travel from. I could travel from right now from LA to Beijing, right?
Mhm.
And that's thousands of miles. I've driven from California to New York and back. That takes like 3 days, right? So therefore, I know if I could fly from LA to New York in 3 hours, right? I know for a fact it might be possible to get to the fucking moon.
if it's a real object, right?
Yo, that was a terrible analogy, but all
Well,
right.
I could drive my car, so therefore the moon is
It's
possible.
like, well, no, no, well, let's analyze the argument though, right? So, if I can drive my car, it's a place that it can, and if I can see it, it's a place that I could travel to, right? It's like more or less the argument, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's start with some of the basics of heliocentrism and globularity, right? You know, every celestial object in the sky is in apparent position and it's not really where it's at. So the object that you would think you would be driving at isn't even really there to start with, like as a baseline.
Hold up. What, nigga? Say that again.
So all celestial objects, right? And this is true in the globe model and in flat Earth because it's an optics thing, right? But all the objects in the sky, the sun, the moon, the planets, the stars, all those things, it's what's called an apparent position. That's not where they're truly at. So, like, they say the sun's true position because it's 93 million miles away and it's so far and we're, chasing after it and all that, that it's physically in a different spot, but the light's traveling the distance. So it takes about 8 minutes. So the spot that we see it in is in a different, it's in an apparent location, is what they say. So everything you see in the sky is apparent. You don't know how far away it is or anything like that because the sun and the moon are about the same size. So all you have is the angular size to go off of. So if you were to start drawing triangles, well, your triangles would apply to the sun and the moon. You could determine that they're the same distance, right? But you believe in a model where these two objects are the same size but are at different distances, using the same triangles. So maybe so
Welcome, Mr. Stone.
So a big part of this, what up, Stone? A big part of this, Ruckus, before I let you continue, or before you continue, that I want you to think about, is like the numbers and the values that you've been given, right? How true do you think they are? And if they weren't as accurate as that we're led to believe, and there needed to be a deception to get people to believe in them, like landing on the moon, for example, which would utilize a lot of the equations and distances, right? Don't you think it would be very important either, like it would be very advantageous either way to fake the moon landing to further support that, because you have a lot scientifically and cosmologically and philosophically riding on this narrative that your mathematics has described the cosmos.
basically shaping a narrative for the public.
I
And
mean, sure. I don't fucking know, bro.
you
Fact
got
is, though, again, the right. Go outside and look at the moon. Right. Of
Eh,
all things that are around you, the moon looks the most like it looks like you look like you can go to the moon. It's not hot really like that, even though I know it does emanate heat, right? Like the fact is though, like you can get to the moon, right? Like if we can shoot a rocket in the sky, which we done this shit in elementary school, if we can fly planes in the air, right? I'm pretty sure we can get to the fucking moon, right? So that's the only reason why I believe in a moon landing.
that's your
Okay.
that's your logical leap, but the fact of the matter is, like, you ask why why would they lie about that, right? It's because if they control your worldview, right, which is very pertinent to the moon landing being a
Okay, well let
success.
me ask you a question, all right? Let's believe that they are lying to us, right?
Okay,
And they're bullshitting us about everything, right? What does it gain to believe in a flat Earth?
what does it gain to be?
Control.
It's not even about believing in the flat Earth. It's
No, no,
more about
okay. So what control have you guys taken back since you've learned that the Earth was flat?
basically all politics, media, any type of authoritative narrative that gets shoved to the public becomes immediately suspect when they start incorporating things like
So
outer
so you're
space
basically Donald
and
Trump now. Fake news.
Yeah, make Israel great again. I'm down for Donald Trump. That's my whole thing.
Yeah, but Donald Trump doesn't think the Earth is flat, so
I don't know.
I
Did
got
I
a
see
question
it?
for you guys on
Exactly.
that.
Bingo. So you don't trust the government, right? But somehow that links to flat Earth.
well, it's more about like what's the truth, right? Like let's just say you figure out that they've lied to us about our world, right, and where we live, and so you have to figure it out. Like where do we live actually? What can we actually empirically prove? And the only two things that I've been
And
able to
you guys
empirically
cannot
prove is
prove.
that it's
Now I'm gonna
flat and
tell you
stationary.
where you get stumped every time, right? You guys cannot disprove gravity, right? You guys cannot disprove the fact that we went to the moon, though. You guys can theorize all day, and I've heard the arguments. Trust me, I've sat
Hey,
through them
Ruckus,
every
what
day,
what exactly do you
right?
mean by disprove gravity?
Okay, well, disprove it then. Show me the math.
No,
Well,
what do you
let's get
mean?
into it. Let
What?
me ask
Hold
my
on, let's
question.
get down to what he's trying to say. What do
Okay,
wait,
you
yeah, go ahead, Stone.
mean
Go ahead, Stone.
disprove
I
gravity?
said it very straightforward.
what
Disprove
he's trying
it.
to say, what
Just
Uncle
disprove
Ruckus is
it.
trying to say
Yeah, but
is, you know
what
how
is?
there's been experiments of people proving that space is real. There hasn't
Well,
been many
let me
experiments.
clarify for you, Ruckus.
Okay.
Do you
We
mean?
have the Cavendish experiment.
Yeah, but hold on. Let him. You gotta
Okay,
let him
so
speak, though.
now you're talking about mass attracts mass. That we want to disprove that allegation, that assertion, that
It's
quote
not an allegation.
scientific
It's a
law.
real actual experiment that was
Well, I've already
conducted.
done that.
Well, we spent our night talking about the math where we destroyed that earlier. I don't think you were here.
Yeah, but I mean, I've actually got videos out,
You guys didn't
which,
fucking destroy that. If you did, you would have won a Nobel Peace Prize.
hey, Ruckus, you really got to listen as much as you talk. That would help a great deal all around in the name of progress. What I was trying to say was that I actually have videos out to that effect that disprove completely the assertion, the belief that mass attracts mass, and it has nothing to do with Cavendish
Let
or
me
any of
see a
that
video, please.
nonsense. Okay, so all you got to do is bug over to BitChute.com and type "Man of Stone," all one word,
How about
all
you just post it
lowercase.
in the fucking chat?
Well, I'm
Does he
busy
need to
cutting
watch
up
it
a
for
piece
you
of
too?
I'm busy cutting up a
Oh my
piece of
God,
bud
this is
right
what you
here,
guys
and it's
do
pretty easy
every
for you to
time.
do.
Everything
All
else
you
is
do,
readily available,
Hey,
but
listen,
your guys'
I'll
shit is
post it.
obscure.
I'll
Oh,
post
Now
it.
I gotta go searching
it's
for it.
yo,
actually
Don't worry,
yo,
I'll
parts
post
one
it.
and
yo,
Ridiculous.
uncle,
two.
uncle, we got
And
you.
you're
We
the
got
one
you.
trying to convince me. It's
Uncle,
crazy.
yo, we got you. The link is forthcoming.
It's actually parts one and two of my couple of thoughts about the moon. And what I do is I take the allegations made by the mainstream, made by NASA about, well, the Earth is this mass and the moon is that mass and it's this far away and the sun is the other mass and it's that far away. And what you find is when you take the infamous equation GM over R squared and you plug those figures into it, you find quite effectively, quite immediately, that it just doesn't add up.
There you go. I
I
posted it
invite you to
for you.
spend all of 5 or 6 minutes per video and check my math out. By all means, see if you can find any physical fault in anything that I point out, because in part two, I actually take all of the vectors involved, all of the centripetal force and centrifugal force vectors involved between the sun and the moon and the earth, and we add them up, and then we compare it to what NASA claims that we view in the sky in terms of the movement of the moon and its eccentricity being 11%, and how that's pretty close to circular, yet the vectors involved, the actual forces involved when you add them up, don't suggest that it should be on the path that we observe it on, month after month after month, with zero deviation. You just go ahead and play with those two videos right there. And I mean, I've got more material for you, but those two should suffice in dealing and dispensing with your assertion that mass attracts mass, because it simply doesn't.
I hope you watch it, bro. I found
No,
both links.
I've already clicked on it. I'm gonna have to watch when I get off because I can't hear it while I'm on Clubhouse.
Yeah, it's a lot of detail, and use the pause button frequently to catch all of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not groundbreaking, and you didn't disprove anything, because it'll be
Well, let's
a
not
lot
poison the
further
well,
up.
Ruckus. Hey, man, don't be
I'm just
coming to
saying though.
conclusions
I'm pretty sure
before
it's
you
not.
even see it. Before you even watch it, don't be dumping
No,
conclusions into your
I'm just
mind.
saying, dude. Like
It's time,
you guys get
instead, it's
debunked
time to
every
open
time.
your mind
We
and
were
actually
arguing a
see
couple
what
months
is
ago in
presented.
a 24-hour sun.
So wait a second, bro. Are you saying we
It's
shouldn't
always
raise
a
our
new
mind with
argument,
you?
and you guys are always debunked.
Are
Hey,
you
No,
why are
saying
you
I'm
we?
changing the
watching. I'm
subject?
actually watching the video. He's like, it's not a bad video. The only bad thing is that gravity is the force of attraction between objects with mass, bro. So depending on of an object's
Well,
mass.
yeah, that's what they told you, but what I'm doing right
No,
there is
No, no, no.
giving
already
you
off
Hey,
now.
mathematical
hey,
proofs
can I finish talking?
as to
He's
why that
already
ain't
off.
so.
What's this guy name? The Man of Stone. Can I finish talking? Um, I
Why,
understand you're
sure.
saying that's what they told you, bro. I mean, I'm just going. Look, you got your beliefs. I got my beliefs, bro. I'm simply telling you what the majority believes in, not just I respect flat earthers. I've been in here plenty of times, bro. A couple people in here know me, but here's the thing about it, bro. The things that you're saying, you're trying to disapprove things that people have already proven. The best way for you to
They
actually
haven't
prove.
proven anything. They
Okay,
just
okay,
say
okay.
it.
Hey,
We
Mark,
prove
Okay,
Majority
two
gravity, bro.
rules.
We
points.
got the
Mark,
Cavendish.
my bad, Mark. And then
Two
here's my fault.
points.
It's my bad, Mark, because I'm over here telling him he shouldn't say they. I shouldn't say they proving anything. You're right. We should. I'm trying to keep it. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep it like this and that. It's what I believe in. You feel me?
Okay, I
You're
got
trying.
2 points in response.
Go ahead.
But
One is,
but
look, man, look, you're trying to tell me two things that are just absolutely
I haven't even
what.
finished, bro. But like, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, like I said, bro. I'm not trying to tell you anything. What I'm trying to tell you, I love your video. I love the passion you have behind it. I wish you had billions of dollars so you can go up there and test. If you could just, I wish you had $1 billion. You could build your own shit, go right up to the sky, bro, and see if gravity's real, and it'll debunk you. But you don't. So you making the video and the calculations you were making, I seen it. And you're off, bro. Once again, I said the other day, y'all are not including Snell's law into anything y'all are doing, bro. Anything y'all are
Snell's law is
But isn't
optical. What the hell are you
isn't
talking
gravity just
about?
a theory, right? It's a theory.
Like
doing.
where
No, not a,
where are you
how is
guys going with
gravity?
this
Gravity's a
conversation?
theory.
A theory doesn't mean that it's fucking false. You don't even know what a fucking
Yo,
scientific theory
mo-
is.
1 second. Something
You know what a
really
theory
crazy
is.
just happened. We should cycle back to Snell's law and gravity.
Yeah, there's no relation between the two of those. And let's deal with the first things you were saying. You said, "Hey, man, you got your beliefs and I got my beliefs." No, I don't have beliefs. I
If your
work on the.
math is off, you have beliefs.
Hey,
You
Why are
just
you
don't have the
interrupting?
you
facts
have
here,
to
bro.
let people speak, bro, one at a time.
Oh my gosh.
Why are
What?
you interrupting? Control
Because you
yourself,
don't know what you're
man.
talking about.
Control yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him finish, bro, because I'm gonna tell him how Snell law. I mean, I'm in college and shit, bro. I'm a student.
Yeah, you're in college. That's impressive. By all means, when I'm done here, you tell me how Snell's law
You
applies to
listen to a
gravitation and
dropout
beliefs.
I'm
pothead.
Ruckus, what the hell?
listening,
Shut up.
Bro, seriously? Come on.
well, I'm letting you finish, bro. I'm letting you finish. Respectfully.
Again, back to this first point, this thing about belief. You see, that's where we draw the line. This is where we draw the difference between flat earthers and globies, is that globies rely a great deal on belief, on appeal to authority, on appeal to credential, on appeal to these other people, these
Consensus.
leaders, a
Yeah.
consensus that you're saying, okay, they proved that. No, they fucking didn't. And this is what I'm trying to show you in my videos, those part 1 and 2 right there specifically, just for starters. When we're talking about mass attracts mass, we're taking allegations made by NASA, made by the mainstream as to the diameters and the masses and the radii between the sun, the moon, and the earth. We're taking, quote, Newton's equation, which I don't really think is his, about GMM over R squared, and we're plugging those assertions in. We're
Yeah.
filling in the blanks in a situation where globies prefer to use formulae but never complete the values of the variables themselves in any of the assertions they ever make. They seem to want to prove things mathematically by presenting formulae and saying, yeah, quote, the math works, therefore we proved such and such. That is absolutely empirical bullshit on a logical
That's not
level.
you're making the argument about math. The argument Uncle Ruckus and Mir making about is about factual things that they've said they've done and we've seen y'all
Okay,
saying
they're saying it's a
you're
fact
breaking
that
it
the
about math.
Earth is this
I want to
diameter. They're saying
about
it's a
bro.
fact that the Earth is this mass. They're saying it's a
You were
fact that the
saying
moon is this far away.
planets are not
They're
what they
saying
are
it's a
on Earth.
fact that the
It's because
sun
of
is
Snell's
93
law, bro.
million
It's
miles
because he can't
away.
be adapted to account for the
I don't
effects
know
of
why you're
gravity,
talking, man.
bro. It's a
I don't know
strong
why you're talking.
gravitational field. You said Snell's law has nothing to do with it. I waited for you to finish so I just can prove how dumb you
Okay,
Snell's law
go
has
ahead
nothing
and
to do
tell
with
me
it.
how
bro.
Snell's law
Just
has
said it,
anything
bro.
to do with
If
gravity. Go
anybody in
ahead.
here just heard me say
Hold
it,
on.
put a one in
This
the
is your
chat
turn.
because
All
they're
This
right,
is your
not
let's
turn
let
trolling.
right
him
now.
let's let him speak himself into
If
oblivion. Go
anybody just
ahead,
heard
bro.
me
What's
say
No,
what I
Snell's
go
said
ahead,
law?
about Snell's
Kanan.
law,
This
put a
is
one
your
in the
turn.
chat.
Tell us how Snell's law applies to gravity. Come on.
Because I know I'm not tripping, bro. I just said Snell's law is like how
Can you
light bends when passing from one medium to another, bro.
Okay, light is massless and
Can
has
be
nothing to
adapted
do
to
with
account for
gravity.
effects of gravity on light, bro. That's it. I was literally pointing out how you said, oh, some things are not positioned the same way from Earth. That's because of that's because of light and gravity, bro.
Dude, the
You
work of
literally no
Cavendish,
pause.
forget that.
You
Let's deal
saying
with
that early
Eddington.
just proved that there was that space is real, bro. You're not
nah,
hearing
dude.
How
yourself
does
talk.
gravity know when to let go for the vacuum of
No,
space?
no, I land
Wow.
there. This man don't not hearing himself talk, bro.
You're just thinking yourself talk, man. How does gravity know when to let go for the
This is
vacuum
how
of
it
space?
usually goes, bro. That's how the combo usually goes, bro.
What
Did
is
you hear that
Snell's
shit,
law?
Uncle Ruckus? Bro
Hold on.
said you can't from Earth, you
Hey,
can't see
Kanan.
planets from different positions, but he don't believe in space.
Kanan
And
or
I just broke it
Cannon.
down.
How do you say your name, bro? Cannon?
It's
This is
Kanan.
why I give them an
Kanan?
ear, and I respect them. I love them. Right, a lot of them are intelligent, but they lose you
Yo,
at certain
when I
points.
come in here, it
I
normally
really
gets
want to.
silent like three people, and they
Oh,
All
don't
globe
have.
cards, if they would just do this experiments, they'd fucking be flat earthers, you know what I'm saying?
real quick. I really want to understand what Snell's law has anything to do with gravity.
All
Has
right, so
nothing to do with it.
it's
I know.
base controls and a strong gravitational field. The speed of light is affected, bro. This variation in refraction is an index, bro, and can be incorporated into Snell's law to calculate the bending of light a gravitational field. I look when I explain this, I don't have to sit here and say everything that the chosen one said because that's the math that he's missing. He's saying do it. You do. It's a whole law that he forgot to put into his equation. That's what Uncle Ruckus is trying. Like, bro, people are trying to tell you
Yeah.
guys, bro. If you were so smart, the chosen one, go teach that shit in class and see how far you'll get, bro.
All
Okay,
right.
let's deal
He
with
So
a
can't.
common
He
problem
can't.
here.
He's
They
losing
won't
it.
get far because
Oh,
it's dominated by fucking mainstream
Let
bullshit.
let Stone respond.
Let's deal with a very common problem that happens at the post-secondary level to start, and that is to do with the
oh, did
formula
you
that I mentioned
graduate, bro?
before.
Can you answer
For
that first?
fuck's
Yo,
sake,
come
Ruckus,
on, yo,
shut up.
Ruckus, come on, bro.
The problem that I want to address here is in the formulae themselves that globies and the mainstream physicists frequently make a really base error in combination of certain formulae with other formulae when you're talking about one formula which has to do with mass and you're talking about another formula which has to do with energy like light, like RF propagation, and they seem to want to take the variables of each and intermix them into a singular unified formula to represent something cross genre, if you will, cross discipline, cross reality. And then what we're doing here is we're mixing formulae that apply to mass and formulae that apply to energy. And that is a really tragic base error in quote science, in quote mainstream science, that is committed all the time. I'm watching it happen right here in front of you guys right now when he talks about how Snell's law, which applies to RF propagation, and how that's supposed to apply somehow in the formulae that apply to mass attracting mass, which is absolutely ludicrous.
That's crazy.
Okay.
There you go. You guys, you feel something?
Snell's law is gravity and light, bro. I land there, bro. You just like, hey, you're
Gravity and
smart.
light,
I'm not gonna lie,
pork and
bro.
beans.
You could really, and I'm not being an asshole when I say this, bro. You're smart. You're a smart guy, but you're on the wrong side and you're saying the wrong stuff. It's sad that I know a lot of people in your life say, hey, bro, you're so smart, but
You're totally
you're a nimwit,
roboting,
bro.
buddy.
You're
Is
a
it just
nimwit.
me?
You are,
No.
bro. You're smart, but you're a nimwit. I'm not.
Well, that's just your opinion, and your opinion doesn't fucking matter.
I can't understand
Hey,
a
I love
thing
you. I
Kanan
love
is
you, bro.
saying.
It's
Can
all
someone
love. It was
translate?
no hate. That's not opinion, bro. I can tell. I can tell you have no college
No, you have
education.
no, you have
You didn't
no,
finish
you
the
have no
equation,
psychological
bro.
basis to
You didn't
fucking
finish the
diagnose
equation.
anybody with anything,
You
dude.
just
Just
said
shut up.
Snell's law has something to do with just light and freaking energy, bro. Are you sick?
Can you hear
You need to go.
Kanan?
No, I'm
So
sorry.
give
I'm
me the
getting passionate.
equation for how
You
does
need to go
gravity
back
know
to
when to
school.
let go for the
You
vector
need
Really
to
of
go back to
weight? How
school,
does
roboting.
it
I
know
bro.
when
can
to
hear
let
you
go?
pretty
Because
well,
he's over
Pete,
here
but he
trying to
won't
make.
shut
He's
up.
saying all these big words that got y'all thinking that y'all got y'all thinking he knows
You're
what
the
he's
one that's
talking about. He
triggered right
don't
now.
know what
Look
he's
at you. You're
fucking talking
frantic,
about.
man.
He don't know what he's talking about. That shit just
I
blew
didn't use
my
a big
top,
word
man.
at
Neither do you
all.
because you're not an astronaut. And you just appeal to the argument from authority, bro. Stop it.
Voiceover, you are ready to cock ride. I don't know, like you. At least the chosen one has experiments, videos, and stuff. Like I said, between him and
Man, I'm a
Linnell, bro.
skydiver, bro. I know
Between
I know
him
what
and
time it is,
Linnell,
man.
when I've
Jump out of
watched
an
them,
airplane, then
bro,
talk to me.
they have actually
Wow,
showed experimental
that's
stuff. These
quite
guys
the
can actually
compliment.
have
I'm the
conversations.
chosen one?
I think that's
Wow.
what he said.
That's neat.
Hey, the man of stone, but I'll call you the chosen one, bro. The chosen one, Leno, they actually presented something, bro. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like it's never really an
No,
argument
I
that gets
don't
under
know
my
what you're
skin like
saying.
that. It's not an argument that gets under my skin like that, bro. You feel me? It's one of the
No,
situations
All
where
right,
when I
because
I
you're
come to
don't
you,
taking the
I want
foundation
feel
of your
you,
worldview
Kanan.
and you
when
don't
I
like
come
it.
No,
I
I
know.
dude,
don't.
the whatever the man of stone. I understand you're trying to throw slurs. I don't feel you. I don't, dude. I'm a very educated black
Hey,
guy.
man, I'm using your
Don't support all
words.
that, bro.
Well,
You're
listen.
You're not
If you're
educated,
gonna
you're
re
indoctrinated, bro. You're
voiceover. You can wait
indoctrinated.
for me to say educated black guy like I'm trying to hold on to it like a trophy.
listen, if
I,
you're gonna
I
rebut
voted for Trump.
something though,
Off
but
my,
at least
my fucking
point out at least what he said was wrong, and then tell him why he's wrong.
But they can't do
Not
that
just by
because
saying he's wrong.
Exactly, Jose.
they
Yeah.
can't do that. They'll just be like, "Oh, he's wrong. He's a fucking idiot, motherfucker." That's all they
wait.
say.
Who? I thought I already said who why he was
That'd be
wrong. What do you
you.
mean, Jose?
Why is
It's
he
already
wrong?
over with. They're on my
He
ass.
already did point out why he was wrong. He
I said
started
Snell's
with that.
law. I already proved him wrong. He
You
got
didn't prove
Snell's law
anything wrong. You
completely
just
wrong.
appealed from the argument from authority, bro. And we don't
If
take
he
that.
put Snell's law as energy and light, he got the equation. That video he made needs to throw it away. And y'all are believing bunkers, So bro.
You're basing that comment on the speed of light, which is impossible to measure. It's only been measured over short distances, and you're hanging your hat on something that is just made up. They literally made up the speed of light. It's not constant. You said it's not constant, but you know what? 40 years ago when I was in school, it was a freaking constant.
I think we need to do what Alan mentioned and just go back to what you guys already have spoken about. Since I guess Ruckus wasn't in the room, um, and neither was
Yeah, Ken.
Kanan. My bad.
And you're right, bro.
Um,
Constant shit, bro. My physical science teacher even told me that. Like he still calls it constant. Bro, I don't bro, when it
Physical
comes to
science, bro. That's people that can't get into chemistry or anything like that, dude. Or
but I'm
physics. They
taking
get
Bro,
into
you
physical
first
just
of
went
all,
to
science,
bro,
man.
college,
That's
dog. Calm
crazy.
down.
First of all, bro, don't try to dip shit on college classes. You probably not even in college at all, bro.
I have a college
Business
degree in
I
major.
just tell
broadcast
you right
journalism.
now, he
Stop
Man,
it.
doesn't have a degree. Show me your degree.
I'm a
Post
business.
it up.
Yeah, this conversation kind of went sideways.
yeah, come on,
I
come
can
on, fellas.
guarantee you,
I'm
he's
not.
never been to
No,
college.
I'm not. Like he said.
Feel the
Like Buddy said
credentials.
earlier. I'm not an astronaut. I'm not going to school for science. I'm taking classes and I'm learning, bro. Like certain
You're
Why
taking
does
classes.
all
classes
of
and
this
getting
appeal to
indoctrinated, dude. That's what you're
credentials?
doing.
Some of y'all don't even know what a damn nebula is. Some of
Bro,
y'all don't even
post your
know
degree, you fucking
galaxy,
idiot.
Dude,
galaxy we
negative
live in. What galaxy
generalization
we
is going
live
to
in?
get you
Flat Earthers,
nowhere.
please tell me what galaxy we live in.
Those are just
Oh
pictures
my
created by
goodness.
NASA, man. We don't know if those are real or not.
I just
Oh
want you.
my
What
gosh.
did NASA say that we live in of the galaxy? Someone say it.
It's called the Milky Way, and
The
it's
candy
also a
bar.
piece of
I knew
fiction,
the hey, the
buddy.
chosen one is the one, bro. We knew it. We knew
Bro,
he was gonna drop. You know what it is, though, don't you? You didn't. You know what it is.
dude, it's just
Yeah,
basically
I think
religious
I know a
fan
little bit
fiction.
more than you, guy. That's the
Yeah.
problem here.
I don't think you do, bro. I bet you. I bet you
Do
still
you?
believe in God, even and the flat Earth,
Okay,
bro. Flat Earth and the God, right?
I do
you're
believe
telling
in
me
God.
that
Yeah,
you're
we do.
studying cosmological science?
And you believe in the Big
You
Bang?
got and you got a whole equation
You
wrong, bro.
believe in the Big
The
Bang?
math is
All
wrong.
Okay,
this
I got
order
a
came out
whole
of chaos.
equation
That's
wrong.
retarded, man.
Oh man.
Voiceover. Wait, first of all, voiceover. Can you rebuttal something, dog? Can you tell us something about why you're in this flat Earth game?
Yeah, because I'm a skydiver and I've been a flat earther since
Because he
2003.
needs to belong to something.
Hey,
No,
How many
I've
times
been a
have you
flat
been
Rocket.
earther since
a skydiver, bro?
2003,
Can we not
2004,
can
man.
we not devolve into this kind of conversation? Can we
I'm a
actually
Yeah,
get
come
to
skydiver,
on.
currently
I
a
want to know what.
skydiver, and that's how
I've
I do
never
my
been
experiments.
skydiver. I want to know what
can
kind of
we
skydiver.
can we get
I
to a
said I need
pertinent
time.
I
argument
skydived from
and stick on
18,
it,
19, and
please?
20,000 feet already.
Shit,
Can,
let's
Yeah,
see.
it's hard to follow people when they're all talking at once. I'm lost.
yeah, I'd just like to stick to one argument and go from there and have rebuttals back and forth rather than, he said this, oh,
Okay,
you're like
great,
this.
bro. The
Yeah.
fact is, though, right? We don't care what you like and don't like. We like
Hi,
facts, but you
everybody.
guys don't like
No, you
facts.
like theories, is what
All
you
right.
like.
Can we
A
go back to the
scientific theory is a
breakdown?
A
fact. You
fact, bro.
fucking
Can
A
we
idiot.
No,
scientific
it's
go
not.
back to
fact,
the
bro.
breakdown of
That's not.
Science is
gravity?
never fucking fact. Science is never definitive, man. It's always challenged. Science is always challenged. Science is not. Science
Bro,
cannot
do
be.
you believe in God, bro? Do you
I
believe
do,
in
of course,
God?
I do. Of course.
Okay. Well, here's the thing wrong with that, bro. In space, they said that when they
Nah,
needed
you
to.
That's your
lose me there
opinion.
too, though,
It's
bro,
your
because I
opinion.
also believe in God.
I mean,
Wrong?
well, here's the thing about that.
All right, lads and ladettes. That concludes our clubhouse gang sesh. I'm gonna head out for the night. Gotta wrap it up early, lads. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Exciting merch launch there. So if you haven't been to the coffee yet, that's ko-fi.com/space_audits. Go there, follow, and you will be notified when the merch store goes live on Tuesday. And stay tuned for exclusive discounts and promos all throughout the week. That'll be linked on the YouTube channel in the community section, etc. So if you're not subscribed, following, etc., go do all of those things, and you shall be rewarded. Later, lads and ladettes.